Hey everyone, my name's Gabrielle and I'm a love and relationship coach. So today we're going to discuss a really important topic. Maybe you've been in a relationship for a few months or maybe it's been a few years, but something's just feeling a little bit off and you're pondering the question, is it worth my time to keep investing in this relationship or is it time to call it quits? I know from personal experience, this question can lay really heavy on you and it can feel really confusing. So this video is going to be exactly what you need to give you that much needed clarity right now, to reveal to you what the next step is for you and your relationship. So in the first part of this video, I'm going to discuss with you 3 huge reasons not to carry on with this relationship. If these 3 things are occurring in your relationship right now, this is a clear-cut sign that it is not resolvable and you need to cut your losses and move on. Then in the second part of the video, I'm going to talk about 3 common scenarios that can come up in relationships that can make us question, is it worth carrying on with this relationship? I'm feeling like something's a little bit off, but let me tell you, these 3 things come up in relationships, but they are completely resolvable as long as you've got certain foundations in place. And I'm going to explain more about that in part 2 of the video. So let's get into the red flags. The first red flag that you should honestly cut your losses and not be fighting for this relationship if your partner clearly disrespects you. So this can come in many forms. Maybe they're often lying to you. Maybe they're making sly comments, or maybe it's obvious disrespectful comments, whether that's about your appearance, how you do things, your personality. They're constantly getting at you. Number 3, they're manipulating you. If someone's manipulating you, they do not respect you. That could come in the form of gaslighting or any form of punishment. Maybe when they don't get their own way, they withhold affection. Maybe when they don't get their own way, they ghost you. They don't speak to you for days, weeks. As you can see, the general theme here is that your partner is being really unkind to you. If you're in a relationship with someone who, for the most part, or even if it's 50% of the time, even if it's 30% of the time, they're being really unkind to you. To be honest, your partner should never be being really unkind to you. Yeah, there's the odd time that we're going to get triggered and maybe say something that we shouldn't. Also, if they do have an outburst, if they do say something a bit unkind, do they apologise for it? But also, do they apologise, but then they just continue to keep doing that disrespectful and unkind thing? I say this a lot, but having a kind partner is really important. I'd say it's one of the most important things. Yeah, there's a lot more that comes into it when we're looking for a partner, apart from kindness, but that needs to be one of the number 1 things that you can say hand on heart, do you know what? My partner, he's really kind. He is so empathetic. He cares for me so much. If you can't say that about your partner, you need to leave that relationship now, because that relationship is not for you. It's going to be to the detriment of your mental and physical health, your happiness, your sanity. Also, if your partner is disrespecting you, they're being really unkind to you, they're manipulating you, they're gaslighting you, they're giving you silent treatment, they are probably a narcissist. Click the tab at the top of the screen now and access the mini series that I did on narcissists. In that series, I go into depth about the red flags to look out for and also how to heal from a relationship with a narcissist and so much more. So yeah, click that tab to access that series. The second red flag, when it's just a no-no and you need to cut your losses now and not fight for the relationship, if your vision for the future is not aligned. And there's some obvious things here, but also there's some smaller things as well that you might not have considered. So obvious things, do you both want kids? If you know as a woman that you want kids and you are with someone who doesn't know Honestly, cut your losses and get out of there. If you know that you want kids, you need to be with someone that's like, hell yes, I want kids. Another thing to consider, do you really want to get married, but the other person isn't that bothered? Also, where do you want to live in the future? Do you want to live in a similar area? Say, for example, you live in the UK, he lives down south in London, you live up north in Manchester. Can you come to a compromise about where you want to live? Because you both might want to be close to your individual families. But then also, there's the smaller things that I've noticed since I've been in a relationship. What are your lifestyles like? Like, how do you want to be spending your time at the weekends? An example that comes into this, if he's really into drinking, he wants to spend his weekends going out drinking, but you're not into drinking, you don't drink at all, that is not going to work. Personally, I've seen this come up in my circle of friends and it has caused major issues in relationships. Maybe he wants to be out at the football all weekend. He's an absolute sports fanatic. He's not willing to give that up. Are you willing to accept that? Is that what you want in your life? When you have children, will he still be at the sports every weekend? He's not willing to compromise on that. These are things that might be causing issues for you now that you need to consider seriously. Also, how do you want your home environment to be? Like, how do you want it to be energy-wise? Do you want it to be bustling or do you want it as a peaceful space? Also, another thing to think about, cleanliness-wise, if you're living together, if he's super unclean, he's not bothered about cleaning, it's not a priority for him, but maybe you're super clean, you like to have your space clean and tidy. Again, this is something that could cause friction in the future and incompatibility. What I would say is some of these things can be compromised on, but it's if you've got that communication in place. If we go back to point one, if your partner is completely disrespectful and unkind to you, it's very unlikely that they're going to have the emotional maturity to compromise on these things. The third and final red flag is bad communication. Okay, there's always room to improve when it comes to communication, but if your partner point blank refuses to communicate with you when you're expressing your needs, you're expressing your concerns, if they literally shut you down with aggression, or maybe they walk out the room, they say, I'm not speaking about this, major red flag, absolutely huge. If they don't have the ability to speak about their feelings, for me personally, that is a no-no. I have been in relationships in the past, they were toxic relationships where the guys completely shut me down, they refused to communicate with me, they could not for the life of them talk about their feelings. It was incredibly painful. I would never put myself through that again. For me, it's not acceptable. I know that some people, especially men, they find it harder to speak about their feelings. But as a fully grown man in your late 20s, 30s, if you cannot speak about your feelings, I'm sorry, it's a no from me. This relationship cannot move forward if you've not got basic communication skills in place. If when a disagreement comes up, your partner, yeah, okay, we might get a little bit triggered initially, but then if they cannot calm down, sit down together with you, speak calmly together, put themselves in your shoes, you put yourself in their shoes as well, empathize with one another and come to a solution where you both have to compromise a bit. If they are not able to do that, there is no point moving forward with that relationship. Like I said, some things can be worked on. But if you're a woman, maybe you're in your late 20s, 30s, you're with a guy of a similar age, if they can't do this simple stuff at that age, cut it off and honestly run for the hills. It's not worth your time. So now, part two of the video. In this part of the video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 scenarios that are resolvable. Common things that can come up early on in the relationship or later on that couples can struggle with, and it might get you thinking, maybe we're done. Maybe the time's up on this relationship. But if you have certain foundations in place, don't give up, fight for the relationship. But like I said, there needs to be certain foundations in place. And I'd say those key foundations that need to be in place are kindness, respect, great communication, and you two operating as a team. It's not tit for tat, it's not him versus you. You're a team and you support one another. If you have those 4 things in place, you have got a fantastic chance of resolving these 3 common issues that might be cropping up for you in your relationship right now. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a strategy that I have personally used in my relationship that will help resolve these issues for you and help you come together as a team and fight for this relationship. The first situation that is very common and it's resolvable. Number 1, the spark is fading. We all know when we first enter into a relationship, we've got those butterflies, it's new, it's fresh. You cannot sustain that feeling at the start. Love evolves. Love goes through peaks and troughs. If you're going to be with someone for 40 years, you cannot sustain that intensity that you felt when you first met them. True love does not feel like that all the way through. So if that was your expectation, you need to get that out of your mind right now. Also, butterflies at the start, it's not always a good thing. Those butterflies are basically lust. That is not love. And also, if you've got an intense feeling at the start, it quite often can crash and burn. From my personal experience, the people that I felt the most intensity with, it crashed and burned very early on. So some tips for you when it comes to the spark is fading, how to keep that spark going. If you've not been in the relationship long, one top tip I would give right now that I think is one of the main killers of relationships: how are you both when it comes to your phone? The amount of time that you spend on your phone when you're together, you need to keep that in check, because there's various things that come into this. Number 1, it's getting in the way of your connection. Your one-on-one time, maybe you're coming home from work, you're going straight on your phone. It's stopping that bonding between you both. Number 2, depending on what you're looking at online, are you comparing yourself to these unrealistic social media couples and their luxury lifestyles? That is really unhealthy for a realistic relationship. So if the spark's fading between you both, look at little things like this, like your routines, bad habits that you've fallen into. These are often things that start to detract from that spark. That spark cannot be sustained on its own. That spark is you two coming together and working to keep putting logs on the fire. You've both got to be putting those logs on the fire to keep that fire roaring. But what I will say is, you can't keep the fire roaring all the time. And that takes me over to, if you're in a long-term relationship, maybe you've just had children. If you've just given birth, you've got a baby to look after. That spark, those butterflies, it's not going to be there, because your priority now is to look after a little baby. And as a woman, you've just been through a huge trauma. And this is where an acceptance piece comes into this, and having realistic expectations of a real relationship, a real life relationship, not the ones that you see in the films and the movies, not the ones that you see on social media, but a real life relationship. So if you've got a longer term relationship, you've just had a child, oh, it's been a year, the spark's faded, sometimes just accept we've got a lifetime together, hopefully, and yet we've just had a child. Maybe for the first 1 to 2 years, as we're getting into our groove again and getting into a flow with managing this situation, maybe the intimacy is not going to be there. But step by step, we're going to keep communicating. Maybe you're not going to be having hot sex all the time, but maybe it's just a case holding each other's hand on the sofa, having a little kiss, having cuddles. That all counts as intimacy as well, and keeping that spark alive. Again, the little things like kissing each other goodbye when you leave and saying I love you, those little things can go by the by. So that's something to keep in mind. I listen to Paul Brunson's podcast quite a lot, and he said him and his wife, they schedule in sex. And that might not sound very sexy, but honestly, when you're working at a relationship, this can be a really clever thing to do to keep it alive. Because if you don't schedule it in, you've both got really busy lives, and you leave it to spontaneity, before you know it, days, weeks are passing you by, and oh, guess what? We've still not had sex. The spark's still fading out. So try things like this. So number 2, the second situation that is resolvable, and I think this is more common in the first few months of a relationship. You're not sure if he's the one. With this term, the one, for me it implies that they need to be your everything, that they're the air that you breathe, they're your reason for living. But honestly, terms like this, again, I feel like it relates back to the movies that we saw growing up, where it's like we expect our partner to be this prince that's going to sweep us off our feet and be the solution to all our problems. Again, get realistic about this. They can't and they shouldn't be having to meet your every single need. Yeah, there's certain needs that they should be meeting as a partner, but they can't fulfill you on every single level. That is completely unrealistic. In this situation, if you're wondering whether your partner is the one, let's go back to those foundations of a solid long-term relationship: communication, respect, empathy, trust, working as a team. If you've got those 5 things in place, but you're not sure if your partner is the one, you need to check yourself. You need to take a breath. Do not make any rash decisions. Chuck out terms like the one, because honestly, I think terms like that, they have the potential to sabotage perfectly healthy relationships. Again, with terms like the one, it's like we're looking for that constant intensity and excitement. That does not exist in a real relationship. And especially if, like me, you're used to going through a pattern of constant toxic relationships, one thing that these toxic relationships do have is intensity. Huge highs, massive lows. A stable, healthy guy, you will not find that. It might, to your nervous system, the first healthy guy that you come across, and this happened to me, it might feel like it's a bit boring. It might feel like, there's something missing here. Are they the one? Sit with that uncomfortableness. That is my advice to you. Sit with that. Observe their behaviour over weeks, months. Do they make you feel happy? Do they make you feel safe, calm, peaceful? Do you feel like when you're around them, it's just a huge sigh, and you can just be your absolute self, your weird, crazy self, and your partner just accepts you for you, and it just feels like, oh my God, that is such a relief. That's how it was when I met my current partner, but I did feel like, oh, maybe there's not the intense excitement there. But I looked at the man before me and I was like, he's so affectionate, he's so kind, he's keen, he wants to go on dates with me, he wants to spend time with me, he wants to talk to me, there's no games. Honestly, girl, give it a chance. Do not give up if you've got that in place. Do not give up. Just sit with the uncomfortableness. Okay, situation number 3. There are some things that can come with time, and there's some things that can't. So what do I mean by that? If you're thinking the relationship might not be worth it because maybe your partner doesn't earn as much as you want them to. Maybe they've not got the best dress sense, or they've not got the coolest car, or they've not got a certain job title. This stuff usually comes up early on. And in this world that we're currently in, that is absolutely obsessed about money and materialism, it can be a reason why people think, should I stay or should I go? I'm not sure if I'm vibing with this. Again, I can relate to this personally. So when I first got with my partner, I'd been in toxic relationships. My life wasn't going the way that I wanted it to. I didn't really feel like I had any purpose, any drive. Top of my list was that I wanted a rich man. That was a non-negotiable for me. I need a rich man because I don't know what the hell I'm doing with my life. So I need someone to carry me through life. So when my current partner came along, he doesn't earn just as much as me. I wanted someone who was earning more than me. Also, and I'm ashamed to say this, he didn't have the coolest car. He had a bit of a granddad car. My boyfriend has a daughter, so he had a practical car. But at the time, I was a little bit shallow, or maybe majorly shallow. And I was like, I'm not sure if I'm vibing with this. Should I still invest in this relationship? But again, I had to have a serious word with myself. What was the reality of the situation? I'd been in such toxic relationships before where guys had treated me like absolute shit. There was no respect. They weren't keen to spend time with me. They lied to me, cheated on me, manipulated me, and just generally wore me down and made me feel miserable. And there before me was a guy, so kind, empathetic, so generous, patient. I could just be my absolute self around him. Made me feel so peaceful when I was around him, so calm, didn't feel anxious. This is all I'd ever wanted. Apart from him not being super rich, this is all I'd ever wanted. And I was going to get rid of this man because of very superficial, shallow reasons. So if you're currently dating someone, maybe their dress sense isn't just how you like. Maybe they're not just earning enough money. These things can come with time. These things can change. Stuff like someone having empathy, being able to communicate, being super loyal, being really invested in you and adoring you. These things don't necessarily come with time. They're absolutely priceless. So if you have got that, but you're thinking of bidding off the relationship, again, sit with the uncomfortableness, don't make any rash decisions, and give that relationship a bit more time. Finally, this is the strategy that I want you to use moving forward with your partner. If you feel like maybe some of your needs aren't quite being met, maybe you're feeling like the spark's fading, this is the strategy that I have used in my current relationship and it works. If you've got those solid foundations in place, you work as a team, you've got good communication, I want you to sit down with your partner and have a discussion about the relationship. What's working and what's not working. And then what I want you to do is I want you to each come up with a list of needs that you feel are not being met currently by your partner, that you want to see an improvement in. And again, with these needs, we need to be realistic here. Like I said, your partner can't provide you with absolutely everything. So I'll give you an example of a couple of the needs that came up on my list that I wanted from my partner. So I wanted my partner to cook for me more because I was doing all the cooking and to be honest, I was getting sick of it. I was getting absolutely sick of it. And whenever I asked him to cook dinner for me, he used to pull his face a bit. This is one of the minor needs that came up. But again, sometimes it's these little things over time that can start building resentment between the two of you, like chores being split equally. Sometimes stuff like that can build up over time and cause resentment. So you need to keep stuff like that. These little things, you need to keep it in check. One of the needs that my boyfriend wanted from me is that he just wanted me to calm things down a little bit. Most of the time I'm a very calm person, but sometimes I can go from 0 to 100 and start catastrophizing. So he said he just wanted me to try and work on catching myself before I go from 0 to 100 and get triggered. There was a few other needs on this list. I think in total we had about 5 needs each. Some of them are more private than that, so I'm not going to reveal the other ones. So you've each got your list of needs. Then what I want you to do is keep that list in a place that you're going to look at often. Maybe it's on the kitchen fridge, maybe it's pinned up somewhere in your room, maybe it's in your journal, maybe it's on your phone in your notes and pin it to the top, somewhere where you're going to keep it in mind. Then what me and my boyfriend do is every 2 weeks or at the end of every month, we have a check-in and we sit down, we get out our list of needs and we discuss calmly together how it's been going, how has the other person been doing, and we're open and honest with one another. And this again, it might not sound really exciting and really sexy, but implementing strategies like this will really help you sustain a relationship for the long term. You're coming together, you're communicating, you're not brushing things under the rug. You're keeping a conscious eye on things. You're talking together. You're putting yourself in the other person's shoes. You're coming up with like ideas on how to improve things together. You're working as a team to build this future together. You're both equally invested in this. So this is what has personally worked for me. I'm hoping that this strategy can help others out there that might be going through a similar thing. Okay, ladies, I'm going to wrap it up here. If this video helped you and you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.